Before continuing with this nebula theory of Laplace, I am going to tell you what were those criticisms which made Laplace to come up with another new plan of explaining how Earth was formed. It was so because the gaseous mass hypothesis of Kant had many defects. And what were those defects? See, first of all, Kant said that there was a cold, solid plus motionless thing. Okay, very good. Now, under gravitational force attraction, we have got two forces: collision rate increased and frictional forces increased. Now, how now this cold nebula, which was under gravitational pull, collided to give heat, to give heat. Now the source of heat is not known, because which made the cold nebula so hot. How can this all generate? How can this all collision generate so much heat that the cold nebula turned into hot gaseous substance? Even the change of state also occurred. How can it happen? Okay. Kant also said that the nebula was motionless, and when the collision occurred, the collision rate increased and it generated a rotatory motion. Now, you say me that if anything's collided amongst each other, is there a very perfect proof, or is there a very perfect rule that the collision will generate only rotatory motion? No, you just tell me. No, because it doesn't mean the two particles can even go far away from each other. There is no possible concept that it would always form rotatory motion. There is no possible concept. Then how can Kant say that it is always forming rotatory motion? So it is not true. What Kant said is that velocity was directly proportional to size, which is absolutely false. Because physics says that if velocity is indirectly proportional to one size, that is, if velocity increases, size has to decrease. If the size increases, then only the speed decreases. But here Kant has said completely opposite. So, in order to reduce all this criticism of Kant, what did Laplace did? Laplace was very clever in this field. When he saw that Kant was actually given this all criticism, he quickly changed his mind. He copied the same thing from Laplace but quickly changed his mind and said that the primitive matter actually existed in gaseous and in rotating state called nebula. See, previously Kant has said that the primordial matter was cold, solid and motionless. Now Laplace says that it is gaseous, rotating, and now Laplace says it is gaseous and rotating, because he don't want to fall in the trap. Now this gaseous and rotating state of nebula gradually cooled, and thus when it cooled, the volume also decreased, speed of rotation also increased, and generating centrifugal force. The centrifugal force is less than the gravitational force. That is, the centrifugal force increases more than the centripetal force. One ring of gas escaped and broke into many smaller rings. The one ring first broke out. This ring broke to 9 separate rings to become planets, and these planets rings also broke to form satellites. So there was a process or repetition or chain of disintegration. This was nebula theory of Laplace.